Hello there. Just before we start tonight's stream again, I'd just like to reiterate what we said last week, which is simply Black Lives Matter. You can find ways to donate at help at blacklivesmatters.card.co, card with 2 R's, and we also stand in solidarity with our trans siblings out there. Mermaids is a great organisation if you live in the UK, and you can support through their website mermaidsuk.org.uk. Just those quick announcements, but with that out of the way, we will get into our world building. And I've just realised I didn't actually open the tabs before we started, so I'm going to open them in another window and drag them over. How are we all doing today? Anybody in the chat ready to go? We're going to be populating our village that we made last time. Last time we made a location that was a small village that was subject to magnetic fields and lots of weird stuff because there was a spaceship crashed underneath it, which I thought was really interesting. We're going to populate that this week and try and get some more plot hooks in there. So if I can just move this table over rather than wholesale showing all of you guys my... Nope, doesn't look like it. I'm going to have to do it in media res. Okay. That's cool. We'll just do that. That's fine. You're going to have to suffer looking at pictures of stuff that I've got on here. Yes, the Jedi Barber. Nice to see you. Nice to see you indeed. As of all my streams, we've started with a little bit of dead air, but but that's just me. That's just me not being good at getting prepared for stuff. A little low energy today. I've forgone my usual creative juice for coffee. Usually it's alcohol, but today it's coffee. I've made the cardinal sin of putting milk and sugar in my coffee today. That's how low energy I am. But here we are, nonetheless. Let's go over what we did last week. I'm a little aware that I think I'm dropping some frames here. No, I think we're all right. In any case, you guys let me know in the chat if there's any problems with audio or visual. I think the sound should be okay for now, but if it isn't, do let me know. Right, so last time we had a village, as I said, that was... Oh, it's struggling with this stuff. It'll load up. There we go. With the theme was crash technology, we decided to use a spaceship. And oh, this is going super slow. We might run some technical difficulties. A spaceship had crashed beneath a village. It was influencing it through this weird magnetic field it had going. We decided it was like an Eden spaceship that had crashed on a D&D world. So it had a load of cool alien plants on it that made like a forest around it. That had loads of weird and wonderful creatures in it. But the town that has sprung up around this forest, because of its natural resources, was one that you couldn't use any kind of magnetic metal in. It was kind of weird. If you came in metal armor, that would get pulled to the floor. If you shot arrows, they'd hit the floor immediately. Like, you have to swap out your weapons for metal weapons, which is an interesting one. Yeah, so what we need to do today is the slightly less fun side of things, which is populating it. Well, we can make that fun. It can be a bit tedious at times, but we've got a roll table to randomize stuff for us. And I think we've got a lot of really good ideas. Anyway, I need to delete that because we already had the ideas there. But yes, we've got our needs. We decided that it was run like a co-op, although there is an original crew member in the village who has managed to cling to life through alien technology and wants the ship out from underneath. We've got like a nice tavern that we called the Wooden Cup because I thought that was funny. There's a lot of leather workers, woodcrafters, a lot of plant exports. The plants we decided that the plants could be exported but not grown anywhere else to keep the kind of the thing that drives you here unique. But we need the plant life to be kind of dangerous and stuff, so there's like a motive going on there. We already have some NPCs. I feel like the stream is possibly not working. You guys hit me up in the chat if there's any problems on there. Can you guys see any? I'm trying to watch it on a. I've got my chat room up on another device, but it seems to be frozen. I'm not sure if it's working or not. This makes great stream air. What are you gonna do? Technical difficulties are our middle name here at Adventures to Order. Yes, so we already have our first NPC, who is the titular original crew member. Yep. So we've got that ready to go, and we know that they're probably human. Because that's the least, I guess. If you're gonna incorporate sci-fi into something, and there has to be someone who is, different from a world that has so many varied things in it, like centaurs and goblins and Arakocra and Genasi, then you have to you have to differentiate it by making it similar in some way. So if it's just a human with like Klingon style head ridges, then okay, you've got some familiar territory there. But at the same time, okay, it looks like we are freezing. Okay, well, there's not much we can do about that, unfortunately, but if you guys are happy to listen in, do you know what, it might be worth ending the stream, starting it again. Do I really want to do that? Righty-ho. Okay. We'll just have to power through. If you guys can see the typing, then it's not too much of a problem. We'll take the camera away for a little bit so that it's not as much of a problem. Okay, you can hear me, so we'll just get rid of the camera for a little bit. That's what we're having problems with. Last week, it looks like I need to update my tech, as it were. Oh. It's a bit slow in the old video. We're gonna ditch the video for now, so that we can just carry on without getting too interrupted. But we'll see. We might try it again later. 96% skipped frames. I might need to try something other than Streamlabs. Well, anyway, let's move on because this is dead air. So we've got the original crew member. That would be human, maybe with defining. Tadai. So if you make that similar but different. So, like, you could have a tiefling with cloven hooves, and that wouldn't be too amiss in a D&D world. But if you have a human that has like some odd facial feature, like anything from Star Trek, basically that makes them humanoid but still different, then that can set off some alarm bells for your players. This person is functionally immortal due to space medicine, our magical MacGuffin that we have for this place. They want, what have I done here? Want the spaceship be dug up, so they can get back into space. But a lack of tools, a lack of the ability to use metal tools has scuppered them from that. So that's our core NPC. We played around in the stream with the idea of like, you know, if the ship goes, then all these plants die and the wildlife dies, and that might be a good decision for your players to kind of make. Do they help this one person get away if he offers them his magic MacGuffin life enhancing kit, or his like medicine that can do a load of stuff, or do they save the little forest that's kind of sprung up there that isn't maybe supposed to be there? So we're gonna start our new kind of heading here. So we've got our plot hooks that we're going to add, and what you'll see, as you may have seen before if you've watched the stream, is that as we make more NPCs, we tend to get more plot hooks, because what happens is you come up with personalities for people, or tangential kind of like effects of people being there that lead into what we might call quests, or, you know, even just a bit of drama that players can interact with and make their own. So everything begets something else. In any case, for our plot hooks, we've got original. I'm going to abbreviate this. OCM wants to leave. Via his ship, their ship. But doing so will destroy the forest. Yep, spelling is not a strong suit of my typing. But we've got that one plot hook there. We need some townspeople, generally speaking. I think maybe the... Why aren't you doing that? Stop being weird. I think we can randomly generate some townspeople. Don't need to write that down. Townspeople. And we can subheading this. Oh, now it's not doing the thing. Okay, that's fine. Oh goodness, nothing is obeying me today. I do apologise. We have our townspeople. I think we need some heads of... it's definitely going to be a large hunter-gatherer kind of society if this is a crazy forest, but if it's a village on the edge, then we need a tavern owner. So we need tavern owner for the wooden cup. We need... what else do we need? Maybe a merchant. Good lord. Good lord, Google Sheets. Got a merchant. This is very quickly gone off the rails, unfortunately. We have a merchant that we can use for substituting the party's gear, and I think any merchant beyond like a core substitution of gear merchant may be unnecessary. We do have an outpost outside of town, for which we said would care for gear. So out of town outpost, which would have we need an owner who will be probably someone who's gonna con the party out of some money or something. So dubious and what's the word? He's gonna try and fleece you. Just put fleecing. Fleecing? Cool. We are also going to need... Let's go back and look at what we had. Which I guess doesn't really work in this chat as the stream is dropping frames left, right and centre. I wonder if I up the power. Well, I'm not going to pretend that this stream isn't a bit of a mess, unfortunately. But 15 minutes, last 2 minutes. Wow. You know, I think it's very likely that this isn't going to work tonight. Unfortunately. What a shame. Oh well. I think we might have to call it a day because I can't seem... Oh, is it working? I can see myself moving on the stream now, which is a step in the right direction. Okay. Right, well, okay, well, we seem to, as I said, we were going to finish the stream. We're not going to, which is great. This might be a tad unusable in terms of YouTube, but we'll answer, we just got a question off the Jedi Barber. The towns you create, how much would you say is set in stone and how much is subject to change depending on PC choices? What's happened on the story so far? Friend of the show, the Jedi Barber, thank you very much for the question, as it will detract from the bit of mess that we've got into so far. Almost nothing is set in stone. Part of what we're kind of doing here for the live streams is kind of show people how to come up with stuff. Because I think that's probably the hardest stepping stone to getting into this thing in the first place. But you know, as soon as it's like hermetically sealing something, like as soon as that seal breaks, all bets are off. So you know, I've had locations I've built that have changed completely in tone just by a player setting foot in it, and that's okay. That works really well. The kind of purpose of these of just doing prep in the first place is to give you a bed from which to improv from. So I've put in a lot of groundwork in a theme of a place here, and if you're talking really technically, we could say, okay, well, the theme is set in stone. The principle that there is a crashed spaceship underneath here is somewhat set in stone, but if the players all of a sudden decide, oh no, it's a magical tomb, and that maybe sounds better for the table, it can be that too. All your kind of setting up as concrete really is the foundation, and the foundation is the theme. So you know, at its very core, the foundation of this is there is a town. You can't wear armor in it, and there is something beneath. Anything beyond that, anything beyond the core idea is yeah, no worries, thank you, bye college. Anything beyond that is inconsequential, because there's so much that can happen between now and then, or even just now and then, from when you sit down to when the session finishes. So I guess when we talk about prep, as long as you've got like a good kind of like type of combat, or depending on what system you're playing, and a good theme and a good kind of core concept, that's all it needs to be set in stone. But I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much for it, as it's kind of saved me from floundering a little bit. But yes, so we'll get back to it now that the camera's working. We had, like I said, we'll go over it again really quickly, just to kind of, and thankfully I think I can actually cut chunks out of stuff on the editor on Twitch, which is nice. We have a starship crashed in a D&D setting. Maybe the crew members integrated. We decided to go with just one crew member survived. They want to regain access to the ship, but it's been trapped under the city because no one can dig with metals. Maybe someone's brought in explosives, and that's kind of like shook things open a little bit. The ship would have been a terraforming ship, hence all the weird alien plant life that we can describe. And maybe we'll kind of like discuss that as an NPC rather than a feature. So this field of this radius around the ship makes plant life grow more, but it also has a magnetic pull to it. Yep, we've got a whole magnet stuff. No metal can be brought in. We've got farming is more difficult. We've got these primitive tools. It's a hindrance to adventurers. They have to change out their equipment when they get to the town. Maybe like store it in a locker out of the radius. We might have like iron golems running about that are like escape robots. Like I said, there's a building just beyond the outskirts for that. Huge level working trade. We've got there's possibly some loot that's only attainable when the magnetic field is deactivated. There shouldn't really be for this a magical presence in the town, either arcane or divine, because that kind of muddies the water a little bit and makes it. Not saying that players can't do magic here, but if there is a arcanist or a druid, they would probably prescribe these phenomena to something else, and we don't want that. We want it to come across as sci-fi. And to relate this kind of back to the question about what's set in stone, that is a good kind of core kind of tenet linked to the theme that possibly should be set in stone. There's nothing stopping you like having the Church of Pelor here or a druidic circle, but you do need to know going in what would undermine your core concept, and in this scenario that's our prime example of it. We have I think we're thinking of a lack of leadership for it in our basic core thing of needs. So it's going to be run like a co-op, but the original crew member is kind of like seen as a wise elder. We have one tavern because it's only a village. We need leather workers, woodcrafters, and export, and maybe some beasts of burden. We've got a section of alien forest that we need, and so I guess then so we need 4 merchants. So there immediately we've got, from sourcing out our needs, we've got our, what are you doing? Come on now. Just give me the tab thing. Oy vey. Right. God. Google Docs. You don't like me today. Okay, so we need a leather worker. We need a woodcrafter. We need a... They would love the freaky plants, but I feel like I've just said previously, I think we're going to keep a druid circle out of this. Like, there could be a druid party member, but I think that similarly to deity-based magic or like an official type of wizardry, they would maybe prescribe like, oh, it's the ancients, these plants are, or you could have them come and be like, these are not of this world, so they could cement that as well. But I think maybe keeping that uncertainty there is better than confirming or non-confirming player suspicions. A lot of the fun from this comes from the idea of them not knowing what's going on and being unable to look to an authority on such things. So we're going to leave the druids out for now because I think it makes it more mysterious. So we've got a leather worker. We need to change that. A woodcrafter and chief of export. So maybe like some kind of like savvy salesman. We need... What else do we need? Some kind of farmer. And like, I think some kind of chief hunter. Or hunter in chief, as it were. who's a bit more adept at exploring the odd plants here. Cool. So we've got that going. I think we should, if we randomize some of these first, then we might get some better ideas. Unless anybody has any like poignant or pertinent ideas for characters there. If they think leatherworker in a town that there's no metal, and you want to shout that out, feel free by all means. But I'm going to do some rolling for species and kind of gender identity. So I need my D20. So, like I said before in the stream, I like keeping these diverse. I don't like to have entirely human settlements or things like that. Yes. So, okay. So our leather worker is going to be a 14, which is ASMR. Ooh, ASMR, ASMR. I like to say ASMR because there's a lot of pun potential there. Okay. And we'll do a D3 real quick just to kind of give them a gender identity. We've got a he, him, ASMR. God, just keep fighting me, Google Docs. We've got our woodcrafter, which is going to be a kenku. That's interesting. Another he him kenku. Got our chief of export, which is going to be. I like having. I know that maybe the shine wears off kenkus when you involve them a little too much in campaigns, but I like the idea of them being more popular in the world and being in more places, because it gets that creative kind of improv thing going of like, oh, well, what sounds has this kenku heard and what do they sound like, but it also gives you an opportunity to for a fun dialogue challenge with yourself and with players. So we need to roll again for our chief of export. We've got a 20 and a they. So we've got a they them warforged. That's awesome. Love it. Warforged. We've got our kind of like head farmer that we've got going on. We're gonna see. I can see that warforged in my head now. Like this kind of. And them being like head of exporting stuff from here, like raises some interesting questions. So just in assigning something straight off the bat, although we want our characters to be completely species agnostic, sometimes it's easier when you're struggling when you do assign something, and you can vibe from that against what they're, especially if they maybe wouldn't necessarily be considered to fit into that job setting. So next one we've got is an Aarakocra he him. No she has so far, but we can put something after the fact. I'm not going to spell this right. I'm just assuming that's how you spell Aarakocra. He him. Interesting. Aarakocra farmer. There might be some kind of kenkus never do lose their shine, Joe's Davies. It's very true. We've got a kind of chief hunter. This could be interesting depending on what we get. Got a 9 and a 6. That's another they them. I got a halfling. Ooh, I like that. I like the shorter races. Awesome. We've got our owner for the out of town outpost. Let's get that rolled real quick. I know this is kind of slow going, but it gets the creative juices flowing. It's a 10 and another they them. Awesome. Some load of ladies. An orc. Are they them orc? Full blood. You know, I don't like to paint orcs in negative lights necessarily, but you know, everyone can be an arsehole. Sorry for swearing. I think that's everyone for now. So let's maybe... okay, so we've got an Aasimar straight away. Aasimar level worker. Aasimar are interesting creatures in that they are like angel people, if you consider tieflings to be devil people. They often have higher callings and things like that. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Some characteristics that would be interesting. If they've not got metal to use, like it'd be interesting to either using kind of some kind of stone, or like maybe like a sharp kind of twine-based stuff to cut the leather, or sure maybe yeah. So there could be ceramic blades here. It could be like an interesting thing going forward. I think it's definitely divergent from regular assumptions of what Aasimar are, if they're just like the village level worker, but you can do something there. Maybe they're an ex-adventurer. Well, let's maybe try that then. Ex-adventurer. Don't know why it won't pop in anymore, and it's driving me mad. So ex-adventurer. Ex-adventurer. Settle down here. Wants a quiet life. Now here we go. Right. So now we understand. So if someone's, and this is where just doing it gets the juices flowing. They're an ex-adventurer. They've come to a place where you literally can't use bladed weapons. So maybe if they settle down here and they want a quiet life, maybe they saw something really dark. Maybe their adventuring life was full of blood and not so much glory. Maybe they have a bit of PTSD. Possibly a PTSD survivor. That can be a good bit of representation there. If you're not comfortable role playing PTSD, they could just have had enough of the adventuring life. For violence, came to a place with no weapons. Or with fewer weapons. Pacifist. I like that. Maybe they were a holy warrior who since stopped believing. I like that. That's cool. So all of a sudden, because maybe Kenku woodworker refers to themselves with the sound of a saw going through wood. Yeah, that's a good one. You could call him. What would you call that? What would you call that sound? What's the onomatopoeic version of that? That is an interesting one. Oh, it could be called buzz, like a buzz saw. I like that. Lyrebird. Okay, interesting. Cool. So I definitely like the way the Aasimar, and like I said, we went with a simple idea. So if Aasimar are traditionally this, then what is the difference in them being here? Is that a need for a peaceful life? And because we've kind of just thrown around the idea of the need for a peaceful life, we created a vacuum of story that needed to be filled. So we came up with probably the most direct, logical thing, which was like they saw something bad in their time adventuring, or they found it to be too much for them, and they've stopped doing it, and we've expanded on that again. Considering Aasimar tend to be holy warriors or destiny bound people, we have decided that they're an ex-holy warrior and they've stopped believing because of what they've seen. We have Kenku. I don't know many Kenku who are generally. I mean, they're not. I mean, are they small? Are Kenku small? I can never remember. Let's look this up real quick. Kenku. Yes, we've got our Kenku coming. Medium. They're just medium. Yeah, so we've got our medium Kenku, who makes a sound of by the sound of wood being cut. But here's the thing. There can't be any saws here. Do you know what I mean? We might be able to get ceramic blades and things like that, but most of what's done here is like in the Wild West, a lot of like outback kind of huts were made by fitting logs together in certain ways. So I mean, there were still tools involved, but maybe they are more of an architect than they are a woodcrafter. So this is interesting then. If we're looking at maybe like cutting chunks out with a mallet, like a wooden mallet and sharp hunk of rock, then that can be more difficult. But I think that maybe this person is more of an architect than they are a woodcrafter, and coming up with new and ingenious ways to make buildings. So I'm imagining somebody who is, always got a pencil behind their has these like spectacles, is covered in like wood dust. I say sawdust, but they don't have saws. Maybe they're constantly making trips in and out of town to procure purpose cut wood. So they would have then a close relationship with the chief of export. There we go. Due to a need for purpose cut wood. So we've started up a relationship there, because we have, and this speaks to the question that we got before as well, in that like how much is concrete. This area is somewhat of an exception in the fact that we've set up quite a complicated scenario. So in doing so, we've facilitated necessities, though that's a weird thing to say. We've made it so that like you can't use metal, so there's a lot of caveats to what goes on here. I can say that you can go into this with just a core concept and nothing's concrete, but that will then lead to you maybe reasoning more out at the table with your players, which is great if they're comfortable with it, but can ruin immersion for some others. But I like that, because we do need a woodcrafter of some sort, we need someone to make buildings, then they're going to need to be innovative, so then they're more of an architect. And if they are going to build stuff that's a little better and be innovative, then they're going to need to source stuff from outside of town where stuff can be cut properly. So we've necessitated a relationship there. And if we are really like getting, that stuff can come up naturally at the table, but if you're really going to do the work, these things kind of flow and lead into each other. So we've now got a relationship that we can use to tug on some heartstrings, possibly. We'll see. So we've got a They Them Warforged, which I think is so cool. It makes a lot of sense. Let's dig into this. So we've got a chief of export, someone who makes sure all the herbs, alien herbs and plants get sent and distributed, and the money gets back to the town in a usable form. I believe gold is magnetic. I think it is anyway. So there may be Buzz the Builder. I like Buzz the Builder. Buzz. So we're gonna just put Buzz. Let's get it in as like a nickname. Buzz. was the builder. I like that. Maybe they have some overalls on and a yellow hat. Okay. Like I said, we've got They Them Warforged. Maybe they are if they're really like a business person and they're handling a lot of stuff this time, they are a shrewd operator. A shrewd business person. I think to an extent to be trusted and to be the person who brings all this money back into the village through goods, they have to be kind. And if they are into business and they're kind, and they must have a soft spot, maybe they were double crossed in the past, kind of thing. Maybe this is a place. Maybe a common theme we're hitting up here is if this is truly a place for people to relax and find peace. Then a lot of people who are calling this their home have had a bad time in life. So maybe that's our common factor here. Maybe everyone here is just looking for a bit of peace and quiet, and ironically that's next to a murderous forest. But it does kind of work in its own way. So kind, maybe he's had bad experiences in the past. Maybe an ex-business person, ex-trader, let's say, who also wanted a quiet life. After a deal had gone wrong. And they do this job for the good of the village, the embetterment of the village. And because anyone else would rip them off. I'm imagining like a warforged and a bowler hat. I'm just going to write bowler hat. Because I just dig that out of a bowler hat. It can be repelled by a magnetic field, but it isn't itself magnetic. That's interesting. Indeed. Oh, thank you, Jedi Barber. I'd like to play with that then. Seeing as we're not playing with real science, we're doing sci-fi, high fantasy. I think maybe it's hard to bring gold into this area as well. Maybe you have to leave money behind. And the place operates on trade. That's an interesting idea for it. Maybe it's something we shouldn't hamper the players with. Maybe that's a little too much overcomplication. So I think it may be best to leave that out. But rather than bringing in a lot of gold to the city, I think, or the village rather, I think maybe this warforged person is getting maybe trade goods, or trying to find some kind of ceramic tools, or the wood that needs to be gathered, in exchange for all this stuff. So maybe that this person is highly trusted. Highly trusted, and it's kind of like the I'm struggling for the word, but they are the one getting all the stuff in for people, and they're trusted to buy things for people in the outside world. People don't want to. Oh, my charger's going to go. Okay. Yes. So we have that. Diamagnetic. That's my word for today. We've got the farmer, the Aarakocra farmer. Don't usually deal with Aarakocra too much in the D&D worlds I create, seeing as they're not. Adventurers League legal doesn't mean too much to me as a phrase, but they are a bit of a sticky kind of player class in that they can fly a good distance, which kind of does break some elements of the game. But definitely, if you had multiple fields and stuff Flying would definitely help you with that. So I think straight away they fly over the fields. With seeds, etc. They can make short work of it by flying. Over lots of tasks by flying. Why is this Aarakocra farmer here? Did they have a tragedy happen to them as well? Can they not fly? Have they lost a wing? Though I do feel that's a bit overdone with Aarakocra. I'm stuck on that one for now. I think we'll have to come back to that. We have a hunter halfling. I very much like the idea of. And I think, this might be the only person who can truly navigate the forest. So there is a bit of a dependency on them, a necessity to them being kind of focal to the village. They use their nimbleness. To navigate the dangers better. Cool. What else? Why are they here? Maybe they live in the forest. Maybe they live in the forest. With a more intense need to be left alone than the other villagers. Maybe they know a little something extra. Who knows? That's okay kind of with that for now, but we've got another plot hook there then, in that, you know, if they're intent on being left alone and live in the forest, then one of the missions can be to find them in the forest. They can, you know, then that thing then that can introduce the players to its dangers a bit better. And then, you know, they can maybe they even swoop in and save the Barcy. Further enforcing their necessity. Okay, so like, I think this mining operation has to be maybe somewhere in the forest, which is why you maybe need to navigate your way to this entrance. Yeah. Okay. So we have a, you know, maybe that hunter can come into town for supplies if the party don't necessarily want to go in there before finding them. So let's actually write that in real quick. Maybe at the sacrifice of time. I realise I've inadvertently made like a She-Ra adjacent kind of setting here, but I do dig it. Okay, I think maybe the mining operation is in the middle of the forest. So the players can get to the spaceship. I need to hire someone to type for me. Cool, right. So we've got some plot hooks there. We've got our out of town outpost. We've got a dubious and fleecing orc. That's also a they them. I think that might just be what it says on the tin. I don't see any point in assigning maybe reasons for that. Maybe it's less of a evil thing than it is like a hey like Ferengi-esque. I'm just capitalising on a need. Doesn't see themselves as evil, capitalising on a need. That's enough really. I think we also have that they're extremely charismatic. Awesome. Cool. This coffee is not doing its job today. But we've been online for about an hour now, and I don't think we'll take our break just yet because of that kind of mess at the start. But I will say I am flagging. Okie dokie. So I think we need to subhead this. Future technology, alien technology. In exchange for deactivating the magnetic field and reactivating the ship. Now we're suggesting that this might be their medkit, or it could be something on the ship. It could be like an iron golem, like a futuristic robot kind of thing. It could be, you know, if your party is in a deficit of a healer, it can be that medkit, like we say, so you can have it like, you know, an infinite use, but so many charges a day health potion, or the, you know, the ability to synthesize health potions, or, you know, if your party just needs new weapons, it could be like space weapons, but that take the could just be lasers, or it could be something that takes the form of a +1 longsword. You know what I mean? So that's up to you as a GM, but we'll make some suggestions. There are rules for ray guns in the back of the Dungeon Master's Guide if you're not sure what I'm talking about. Ray guns. Better equipment, +1, or whatever. We can do it later on. Call them ray guns, better equipment, depending on, or, you know, version, whatever the party needs. Your party needs. So I'll leave that to GM's better judgment there. We've got our mission to find the hunter living in the forest. It's a day. The party can wait for the hunter to come in for supplies. So this is as a guide. This is to necessitate storytelling in a lot of ways. So, you know, it can serve to inform the players just how alien the forest is. it can be tantamount to prep. They might need a cost for it. You know, they're bothering this person. Why would they help them? Like, okay, so here's another kind of like plot hook for that. If this halfling finds out that what they will do will destroy the forest, then maybe they don't want to help him. It's a little slice of heaven. So just by tethering an NPC there, then this is a perfect example. Just by tethering an NPC to a location, we've set up for an intense emotional reaction to information. If they really do live in this forest and it is important to them, and they're the only person who knows it, or it's their slice of heaven, of course they're going to react negatively to it going away. How do the players find that out? Well, you know, if they're given this mission to go into this place and deactivate this field, and if they're able to insight check the NPC that sent them here, or maybe just talk their way around to getting the information of like the forest will be gone, it'd be great for the local economy because the forest will go away. Maybe they're open about that. I think that's maybe kind of for you as a GM to decide for your party what would tug on their heartstrings individually. But you may or may not tell the halfling that, or you can do a lot of good groundwork there to seed the idea that maybe not everybody would be happy to see this forest go away, it being the lifeblood of a whole location. Mining operation, there can be could be just a small mission to, if they don't talk to the you can't make them talk to the ship's captain. They could approach them, but if they don't want to interact with that, they don't have to. So there could be a sub quest to retrieve explosives. If they don't want to, if you as a GM, you don't want people to be, if on the rare occasion you wouldn't want to give away too much, you could maybe send them to do that, and then the robot ambushes you, or something like that. Subquest to retrieve explosives for reuse or sale. Lots of different things. Maybe shards of metal have come back from the ship that are usable. Okay, so there we go straight away. From the ship that are usable in the magnetic field. People in town want them. So that's the mission in and of itself. So you can have people using these odd shards that are unworkable into other shapes, but have been used as crude blades for leatherworking and things like that. You can have people in town use these, or maybe like, I'll just get out my special thing then, because this is just too hard today. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, what's that? Well, it's from the mining operation in the forest that's been abandoned. It's all they brought back. If you could get there for me and bring me back some more shards, I'd be eternally grateful and give you blah 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 X amount of gold. And then they stumble upon the fact that it's a spaceship. So just by, there's lots more to do here, I think, because you can have, maybe the trader knows that people outside of town would be interested in something like that. Maybe they have a friend in Okay, so let's do a sub one of that. Warforged Trader. And we could put some names here, but it's a little low energy tonight, so we're not going to do that. Warforged Trader wants to send the material off for analysis. And then you've got the whole kind of social politics there of like, oh, what's that person going to do with that? Are they going to invade the town? You know, would it mean like they would threaten the way of life here? And then you've got this kind of play on trust with the Warforged. That's really interesting as well. Because we've kind of like put some personality in places, and I'm sure the farmer would be desperate for one of those pieces of metal. We've come up with reasons. We've come up with needs for people and reasons for you to be places. We've identified a need, and then we put something in the world that could fill it, and there's your quest straight off the bat. And those are just really simple examples. We've come up with this weirdly complicated idea that's really sci-fi and really kind of wibbly wobbly in a lot of ways, but it's led to some interesting kind of interactions and this kind of way of life dichotomy that we've got, which has come up in a few of the things we've done. But I like it in this scenario in that like we're able to kind of like twist it to theme. Unfortunately, because tonight feels really low energy, guys, I do apologise. And we've had a bit of trouble with the stream and it doesn't seem to be getting too much better. I think we're going to call it a day there, but I think we made some really good work just in, and this is, I've commented before in this being kind of like the slightly more energy intensive part of world building. It's great to come up with initial ideas, but then to do the nitty gritty and put in personalities and motivations is a lot harder. But as you've seen, just getting into the work and even with a bit of randomization, those ideas have flown, and we've honestly, if I would be happy to bring this to the table, it's not the best typed of thing in the world, and of course to publish it later on we'll be typing up a little bit better, but you could go to the table with this quite easily and do some heavy improv in between if you're comfortable doing that, and that's perfectly workable. And we've got all this from 3 hours, I guess, not even 3 hours of work, that's 2.5 hours of work over 2 nights, and that's how simple it can really be. It can be more complicated if you want it to be, but I don't think you need anything more than that. Is there a random villager in there? Yeah, but clues in the name there, random, just randomise that villager, and that can be something good as well. We think we're going to end it tonight there, guys, because I'm not